See, whenever you just go with this option name, it is called as a design. So design is all about what are the prototype of the application? Once we have come with the blueprint of the Spectre house, so then we're going to give it to the builder. So let's, for example, he's going to ask how much they're going to quote for the entire building. So when we are okay with the pricing, we'll give it to the entire plan to them. So they're trying to implement the same thing way. The same way, whenever you want to go with the design in this particular IT industry, so we are trying to design the prototype the application. So I'll just show you the documentation where we worked on one project. It is called ETOS, where we have designed the mobile applications, like how is my login page looks like, how is my home page looks like, how is my whenever the customers log into my website, like what is the API interface we can provide to them. So all these things. So whenever you just go with the software development team, the software development team is basically, they'll write the source code. They're trying to bring that, what is this actually reality? That means whatever it is there in our assumptions, let's, for example, right now, whatever we had did, everything is in a paper, everything is on, let's for example, it is a screens, right? We want to bring it to reality. That bring in the reality is nothing but software development team. So let's, for example, the client required to implement these applications on the Java or Spring Boot or AngularJS or Go language. Like what are the programming language which can choose? For example, he's not a technical guy, so we can able to suggest him that what is the front end technologies we can go with this. What can backend technologies we can go with this. So let's software development team, they try to adapt the application, that nothing but they can write the source code. So here we have a bunch of software developers, where the software developers basically the focusing about development of this particular code. See, once we have developed the code, then we have to go something, it is called testing here. So what exactly mean by testing is all about? So we have to test this application. Testing is basically two purpose. First one, in the perspective of the customer, whether we meet the customer expectations or not. The second one is all about the, we had to go with the first one is all about the customer. And the second one is nothing but we have to understanding about whether the software development team worked accurately or not, whatever the client is expected. See, last Saturday, we have deployed one application in this production moment. Now the testing is going on. They're trying to test that, they'll test about its anti-testing, they'll test the functional testing, they'll test the performance testing, load testing, crash platform testing. So they're going to test the application different, different the perspective. They will see about how the application is performing in all the aspects. Because if we don't test the application properly, we won't get the correct outcome it is. See, software development team, they're going to develop the application, they'll get the code from now, right now it is AI tools, right? So when we are so automating the application, also we use a lot of things for the chat GPT to get this to creating Helm charts, everything. Like that software development team also will take the help from the chat GPT or like a Devin, there are some different tools out there in the market. So, but we should know about how the application code is going to work, whether we are meeting the client requirements, expectations also. The testing is very, very important. So we have to test the application, all the aspects. See, once you test the application, then we have to go, so option name it is called as a deployment. So deployment is all about how this application is going to be work. That is what now we have to understanding about deployment. See, deployment is very, very important because the application, whatever we have developed, we have tested, which is working fine. Then we have to deploy this application inside the servers. That's what we have to understanding about. See, before you deploy applications, we have to test the application in the dev environment. We have to test the application in the UAT environment. We can say about the QA environment. Then we have to go with the staging or UAT environment, or we have to go with this option name it is called as the production environment. So if we test the application, all these three environments, then only we can able to deploy the application in the production servers. So that application will able to access by my end users. That is very, very important. Then we had to go with this option name it is called as a maintenance. So what is exactly mean by maintenance? So maintenance is all about once you release the application into the market, so we have to see about what are the problems which we're going to face with the customers. So and also we have to monitor the my application servers, like how much CPU, how much RAM, what is the traffic in, what's the traffic out. So that everything we have to understanding about when I just go with the maintenance. This is what we can say nothing, but we have the 6 phases we have. Like we have the requirements gathering, we have designing, we have development phase, we have testing phase, and we have deployment phase, and we have the maintenance phase. All the different kind of phases we have, all these phases we are trying to implement whenever you like to develop this particular application. So now, so we got to know that this is SDLC. What is the importance of each and every phase, right? So whenever you would like to develop any application, we have to follow some methodologies. I will take another 10 minutes to explain about the background. After that, we'll see about what is exactly DevOps is all about. Now here, when I just talk about process, the methodology, which one we have to follow that to implement this particular application. So let's say can I go with the like a bottom to top, or can I come to the top to bottom, or can I start middle? So there is some procedure, that procedure process, what we can call as a method, right? So I think you guys are aware about the waterfall methodology, and also you guys are aware about the agile methodology, lean methodology. There are different methodologies there in this particular market where you have to focus more about the what is waterfall methodology, what is agile methodology, what is meant by lean methodology, everything. So try to understanding about what is meant by waterfall methodology, now what is exactly mean by waterfall methodology. Let's try to understanding about what is meant by waterfall methodology, how the waterfall methodology it is going to work. That's what we have to understanding. So waterfall methodology is nothing but is a linear, the sequential model. So where we're going to follow the step-by-step process. That means the first we have to follow the requirements gathering, then we have to follow the design phase, then we have to follow development phase, then we had to go with the testing phase. Then we had to go deployment phase. Then we had to go with the maintenance. These are the 6 phases, what we can say, nothing but in my software development life cycle. First one is the requirements gathering. The second one is nothing but design phase. Third one is nothing but development phase. Fourth, testing. Fifth is deployment phase. And sixth one is we have to go with the maintenance. This is what exactly we have to understanding about what are the different phases we have. So when you just go to that waterfall methodology, so we just gonna follow that the linear, the sequential modalities. That means we have to follow the step-by-step process. That's what we have to understanding about what is meant by linear sequential model. So now when you just look at the water flow, it is always flow from top to bottom, right? The same way, when you want to implement or when you want to follow that waterfall methodology, we're going to follow the same thing like top to bottom. So it doesn't suit for the larger applications. It is going to be suit for only for small scale applications. Now let's try to understanding about what is the disadvantages when you just go the waterfall methodology. The first disadvantage is nothing but there's a dependency. What is the dependency here? See, whenever I talk about dependency, when I talk about dependency, we have to understanding about, see, for example, I have done with the design. Until we done with the design, software development team doesn't have the clear cut picture what they have to develop this application. Say until I complete the development phase, I can't go with the testing phase. So until I complete testing, I can't go with the deployment phase. That means deployment team is depending on testing team. Testing is depending on development team. Development team designing on let's for example designing team every phase of this particular application has depending on the other phase. That's what we have to understanding about what is exactly things it is. So now here dependency is very, very important. So dependency is like the what we like I say how this application is going to be depending on the one to other it is. Then we have to go something it is called as a design phase. What exactly mean by a design is all about? Say design is nothing but whenever you wanted to, let's say, sorry, we're talking about design dependency. The second disadvantage is nothing but resource utilizations. See, we are not properly utilizing the resources. Let's say, for example, so until I complete the designing team design, requiring, as for example, until I complete this particular designing team, development team doesn't have any work. That means, so they are just simply coming and just going here. That means we are not properly utilizing the resources when it just come to the dependency of this particular waterfall methodology. So then we just go to the third point. Third point is all about here. See, before you go with the deployment, we have to go with the client review. So until that, my client don't know what's exactly going on my application. So he don't know about what is output. He don't know about what kind of functionalities we implemented. So now here, before we go to deployment phase, we'll just go to my client. We'll show the demos like what exactly I have implemented. So if the client come back and say about some changes, again we have to go with the recode. Again we have to go with the redesign. So again we have to go with the retest. See, this is everything is headache to us, right? So we have to do it from again we had to go with the redeployment. See, everything we had to do it again from the Spectre scratch. We had to go with the recode, redesign, retest, redeployment. See, everything we have to do it from the Spectre, from the start to beginning it is. That's what we have to understanding about recode, redesign, and retest, redeployment. So everything we had to do it from the scratch. So it is very difficult for us to do it because it is a rework, right? So when I just go with the fourth point, it doesn't suit for the enterprise applications. Like, you just take Amazon, you take Flipkart, you take Netflix, you take Hotstar. Like you just take about the bigger applications. It doesn't suit for the enterprise applications it is. So that is the reason only we just need some kind of like methodology which going to support all these things. Yep. So for that reason, we are just moving to something it is called as agile methodology. See, right now in the industry, there are 90% of the industry, they are using something it is called as a agile methodologies. So in this particular agile methodology, I think you guys are aware about. Here we have something it is called sprint, and we have something it is called as a scrum it is. So we have to understanding about what is meant by sprint and what is meant by scrum. So here in this agile methodology also we have the same phases. Like, we are going to get the requirements gathering, designing, everything. Let me just show you that diagram so that you can able to understand about what exactly it is. Let me just one second. I'll just I think I have the image. Let me show you here. Okay, I think, let me download this particular image so I can just show you that what is exactly sprint it is and how we are trying to implement. Let's try to understanding about what is the sprint in agile methodology. Let's try to understanding about what is meant by sprint it is first of all. See, it is very, very important. Sprint in agile is nothing better. It is a dedicated the period of time in which set amount of work will be completed on a project. Like, we have this certain period of time where we can able to need to tell that what exactly we have to do that. Like, every project we can divide into the different modules. Let's say, for example, if I just take about the Flipkart application, the Flipkart application, we have different modules, right? We have the user interface module, like, like we have the login module. So we have the cart module, and we have, let's, for example, we have the user interface module, we have the login module, we have the cart module, and let's say we have the payment module, we have the orders module. See, every applications we can divide it into different modules. Now, all the modules we are not going to implement at one shot. So here we have to go with the like in a sprint. That's what it's talking about. Every sprint, it is deadline is 1 to 4 weeks, right? So it is a part of the agile methodology. Agile project will be broken down into the number of sprints. Each sprint's taking the project closer to the completion it is. See here, every, what are the models which we are trying to implement here? So every module we are going to set up the timeline. So we had, let's, for example, we just take up the login module. So we want to complete within the 1 week. Depends on the size of the module, depends on that what they want to implement it is. The based on that we are trying to decide the time frame and we are going to working together all the teams. See, if we just go with this diagram here, we can see there is a plan, design, development, test, deploy. And before you're going to release the product to the client, we have to understanding about what is the review. Review, it is all about so they're trying to figure it out, is any kind of things that, again, we have to rework on that because the client will get to know that what exactly we're going to do that. See, for example, last Saturday when we have released the product in the production environment, my client will understanding about what kind of features we implemented, and they're going to test it if it's working fine or not. So once it is done, everything, they're trying to launch this version one into this particular market it is. So again, for the same project, they're trying to adding some more features to this applications. See, our client name is called SalesCane. So they're trying to implement some application called CRM platform, a kind of application they're trying to implementing, they're providing for the SaaS. The same kind of applications where they're trying to implement, and they're trying to implement the like in Agile methodology. So here, the first, when done with the first model, then we have to go with the second model. So once we had done with the second model, then we had to go with third model. So we had to follow that like in different process. We had to go with the plan, we had to go with the design, and then we had to go with the development phase, then we had to go with the testing phase, then we had to go deployment phase, then we had to go the review phase, and they are going to launch this particular the feature it is. That's what we have to understanding about every sprint. There is a different kind of the features where we are trying to implementing. That's what we have to understanding about what exactly mean by sprint it is. Now here, once you understood about sprinter, there is something it is called a scrum, right? You guys have heard about, some of your friends maybe work in a scrum master, so what is exactly Scrum Master will do that? Let's try to understanding about what is a Scrum in Agile and how we are trying to implement the Scrum in Agile. Let's try to understanding about what is a Scrum in Agile and how we are trying to implement this Scrum it is. Let's try to understanding about what is meant by Scrum. See, Scrum is a framework. We can say getting work done within Agile. So let's, for example, we have the Jira, right? So where we can able to updating your daily task, where it is going to be backlogs, where we're going to update what is the status of the task it is. So we can say about project planning tool. We can say, in other words, we can say it is nothing but project status tool where we can able to understanding about what exactly we are trying to implement. See, Scrum is a framework for getting work done within this Agile. So Scrum uses all the core principles of the Agile to define the method of the facilitating the project. So here we have someone is called a Scrum Master. It is basically the job is, he is the bridge between the teams. Like we have the software development team, testing team. So he's trying to understanding about what is the progress of the task. He's going to set up every day a Scrum calls, or we can say stand-up calls, where he is going to get the status of this particular task, what we need to be do, what we need to implement. So Scrum is a framework for getting work done within Agile. So Scrum uses all the core principles of the Agile to define the methods to facilitate a project. See, let's say, however, it's important to note that Agile doesn't have always mean by Scrum. This is depends on the project to project, but I'm sure that every project there is a person guy called as a we have something, it is called a Scrum Master. Like we are trying to give the updates to the Scrum Master. He's going to talk to your project manager, what is the task status of the task. So will they try to, according to that, if anyone is stuck somewhere, need any help from different teams, they're going to take and they'll just move it forward here. So this is the based on this only. This Agile is very popular right now in the market. So because, so here, if you look at this diagram here basically the software development team, testing team, they work together until the project is going to be complete. That's what basically we have to understanding about what is meant by the sprint here. So now this is all about this, Agile and sprint, right? So I hope you guys are clear so far, right? Now, anyone have any questions? So if you guys clear, we'll see about what is the relation to the DevOps. Can I get some response in the chat at least?
We're good.
You're good. Yeah, understood.
Yeah. So now we can see that I'll divide this entire team into two things. One is nothing but we have a dev team. We can say nothing but development team. And we have something it is called as the operations team. Okay, let's try to understanding about the differences between the what is a dev team and what is mean by operations team. See, we have a software development team. Okay, the software development team here, the responsibilities are, the first one, they're going to provide the analysis of the project. And the second point is nothing but they're responsible for the design. Third one, they're responsible for the development the application. Fourth one, they're going to go for the testing it is. Like this is what exactly we have to understanding about the what is this software development team, and we have to understanding about what is exactly mean by operations team it is. So this is like, we have the two teams. One is the software development team, and we have something it is called operations team it is. Like, let's try to understanding about what exactly these two teams will do that. So whenever you talk about the, what is analysis, let's try to understanding about, we have the analysis, we have the design, development, testing, right? When it comes to the operations team, they're basically responsible for the of providing the infrastructure. That means whenever you want to deploy any applications on any platform, it may be cloud, it may be on-premise, like, wherever that you want to deploy the application, first of all, they have to update the infrastructure. All right. That is what we have to understanding about. The second point, it is all about they're responsible for the deployment of the applications. Okay. And third one, they'll just try to monitor your application. And the fourth one, they're trying to take the backup the applications. They will take up the backup of the data. This is the responsibilities of this particular software development team, operations team. Let's say now, for example, we have the software development team, where the software development team, they're trying to design, develop the application. See, I'm talking about not present. Let's talk about 5 years back, 10 years back, how we are going to develop the application. See, whenever we had developed the application, we are trying to testing in my local environment, not actually where application is going to be run. So basically, application is going to deploy into the servers. You take like Kubernetes cluster, you take about EC2 instances, you take about compute instances. So whatever it may be, the end of the day, your application is running in a cluster it is, right? So when I just talk about the testing here, let's, for example, the application is going to deploy actually in servers. But when I'm trying to perform testing here, the testing it is going to done in my local machine, right? That is not the actual environment where exactly my application is going to run, right? So once it is done with the testing, so this time here testing is going to be passed. So they can perform the load testing, they can perform the performance testing, everything. So that time the assumption is nothing but the application is going to work properly, right? But the moment when you want to deploy the same set of environment, whatever the you have deployed, we have tested the same application, I won't deploy inside my where in the server it is. So you're going to send the artifact. Along with the artifact, you're going to send the different kind of instructions to the operational team, ask them to deploy the application inside my where, inside my infrastructure. This is what exactly we have to understanding about what exactly we have to do that. See, we have the testing team where they're going to be able to test the application. We can see we send it to the operations team. Operation team is basically they're trying to understanding about what exactly they can do that. So now they're trying to deploy the application inside my server. Let's say, for example, we have the infrastructure setup, we've done it, and we are trying to deploy this application. But when you're trying to deploy the application, you are going to get different challenges. Like your dependencies are missing, the platform is missing, or the supported softwares are not installed properly. The environment variables, whatever you're passing, it's not reaching to endpoints. This is the kind of some of the problems we usually face whenever trying to deploy the application inside your inside your servers. Let's, for example, like in last week, we are trying to deploy the application production environment. There are some different kind of environment variables. Like we have to provide the Cosmo DB endpoint, we have to provide PostgreSQL endpoint, we have to provide the Kafka, and we have different kind of endpoints where we have to connect or where we have to provide to the environment variables. So if I just not properly pass any environment variables, it's not going to reach the endpoint. So same thing which we have to understanding about here, I'm just facing some issues. My application is not able to deploy in the production environment. So I'm just telling that, again, the software development team, I'll just tell to my software development team, I telling that my application is not able to deploy. So we can able to check that there is issue from your side. The code, whatever it's running in my mission, it is not running on the other environments. That is a problem usually we can face, that what we can call as the portability of the application is not guaranteed. So that is what major problem is basically. portability of the application, the resource management. Because whenever you require the more resources, always we have the understanding about the cost is going to be very high. See, every industry, they're going to focus the four things. First one, higher quality. The second one is a faster delivery, lesser spending, availability of the services, what we can provide to the customers. So if you want to achieve these four things, definitely we need some kind of mechanism, what exactly and how exactly we have to implement. See, for that only, there is something it is called as a like DevOps came into the market. Before I talk about the DevOps, I just wanted to explain about what are some of the problems which we're gonna face whenever you guys talk about the dev team. So whenever you talk about the operations team, see the development team, what are the code they have developed the code, they'll try to waiting for the code deployment. See, last time when you try to deploy the application in the test environment as a QA environment, one of the developer they have copied the code from the internet. So when we deploy the application, the pods, it is going to be crashing back loop off. And it is not going to be start because while building a Docker image, didn't mention about the startup command. Once we started that pod, it is going to be the image pulled back of error. For example, it is not able to create the pods. After that, when you correcting all the errors, so my pod is not coming to the running status. So when you just look at the logs over there, it is telling about clearly there is error from the code, the software development team side. So when we just take a screenshot and when we send it to the software development team, ask them to resolve that error. So again, we cross verify as a DevOps team when the same code, what are there in the I can say in the Stack Overflow, the same code they have taken, they did some modifications. Because of that reason only, it is not working properly. So again, we pointed this particular development team and we asked them to what exactly you have to do that. So here, like that, it is waiting for the code deployment. So it is working properly on my QA environment or staging environment. The same application we can deploy and replicate inside the production environment. This is what we can call it as the waiting time for the code deployment. Then we have to go with the second point. It is all about the pressure of the work on hold, pending and new code it is. That means, if you know about the new code is working fine, then only we can able to go with the older code. That's what we have to understanding about pressure of the work on hold, the pending and the new code. This is what exactly we're gonna change. We're gonna take up the dev challenges. When you just go with this operation challenges, what we're gonna face easily. The first operation team has more burden than software development team. Software development team only focusing about the writing the code, right? But when it just come to the operation team, the first they wanted to maintain the uptime of the application. Let's for example, you just take about the Hotstar, you just take about the Netflix, you take about Flipkart application, take about the Amazon application. So let's for example, in US there is something it is called Black Friday, right? Where they're going to provide the 50 to 60% of the discount. So when just go to the 50 to 60% discount, all the customers are hitting my servers, right? The time I don't want my application is going to be down. I want to make sure my application is going to perform the auto scaling, load balancing, so that it is available to the all my customers throughout this world. That is what we have to understanding about operation challenges. Here, difficult to maintain the uptime of the production environment. That means what are the production environment we have? So we just need to understanding about how we can able to make sure your application availability of 24/7. That is one of the biggest challenge what we have to face. Let's, for example, assume that your banking servers are goes down for 1 hour. Think or imagine about how many customers are going to affect, like how much money it is going to be stuck in traffic it is. So that is, we have to make sure all the servers work 24/7. We have to maintain that kind of uptime of the application and tools to automate the infrastructure management are not effective here. So that means, let's for example, I want to deploy the application in any environment. So every time I want to manually go and set up the servers, go set up the networks, go set up the storage, go set up the info, a cluster, whatever the infrastructure which are required. So I want to set up manually. It is a burden to me, like every time I have to do that. So let's, for example, if we do something, it is a coding part, we have the Terraform, right? Terraform is nothing but basically IAC tool, infrastructure code. See, once you write Terraform script, that same script we can able to use multiple times when I want to use the spin up. I'll tell you one problem, okay? See, last we had deployed one application in Azure cloud. It is in India. For example, my client yesterday night, they came and they say that I don't want to run my application in India. I want to ship to this US because it is a US product. That's what they were telling yesterday night. So what we are thinking is again we have to rework all these things. We want to set up the VNets, we want to set up the subnets, we want to set up the PostgreSQL, we want to set up Cosmos DB, we want to set up the AKS cluster. See, it is everything burden to us. So think about, imagine the entire infrastructure we done with the Terraform script. Imagine if we do it with the manually, you think about it from our side, how much time we had to spend and we had to spin up the entire infrastructure. It will take some hours together. But now within the 5 minutes, I can able to bring that the same kind of infrastructure by using Terraform. That is the power of the infrastructure code tool it is. So now let's say third point, number of servers to be monitored increases. Let's, for example, we have the 100 servers are there in the production environment. Let's say you have the 100 servers right now. So we have to understanding about how we are trying to maintain to keep monitoring of all the servers. Let's say you take about Flipkart application, you take about Amazon application, you take about the Netflix, you take about any kind of application. We just need to understanding about how much number of servers are there, how we can able to monitor each and every server. So that's what we have to understanding about the number of servers to be monitored increases. Let's say now, for example, if one server is there, we can able to get logs, we can identify what is the traffic in, traffic out. So when there are multiple servers are there in the production environment, how we are trying to understanding about the monitoring the number of servers. That's what we have to understanding is all about. See, the monitoring of number of servers is going to be like what exactly? Nothing but it's difficult to do that. But when you just go to DevOps, we have the set of tools which is going to help you to monitor the number of. I'll talk about in 5 minutes. So it's difficult to diagnose and provide the feedback of the product. So to overcome all the challenges, whatever we discussed about, there is something it is came into the market. It is called as a DevOps. So DevOps is the basically going to resolve three things. What exactly DevOps is going to resolve three things. The first problem, it is all about the communication. The communication. And the second point is all about the collaboration. Third point is all about the automation. This is the 3 points now where we have to focus more about the DevOps. Let's try to understanding about first what is DevOps. Why DevOps? See, everybody will tell that it is a development plus operation. So beyond that, there are many things to understanding about what is DevOps. So DevOps is a combination of a culture, the philosophies, and set of practices. See, I can say it is nothing but a philosophy. I can say it is nothing but set of practices. I can say it is different tools which is going to help you to understanding about how the infrastructure is going to work. So DevOps is a combination of a culture, philosophies, a set of practices, and set of tools, which is basically going to help you to understanding about how this application is going to be automated. So every person, you just take about any organization, the major concern is all about I have to do it with less span of time. I have to do with less cost, and I have to deliver the quality of the product to the client. That is a major objectives of any organization. So here it is going to increase the organization ability to deliver the applications and the servers at high velocity, evolving the improving the product in a faster pace. See, the moment when the software development team has developed the code, I would like to understanding about how is my code quality, how I'm trying to build the artifact, how we can test the application, whether the application running the production environment, as a QA environment or dev environment. So whether we can able to monitor the application or not. See, at one shot, as soon as the software development team push the code into a GitHub repository, all these things has to be happened. That is the reason only we need something. It is called as the DevOps methodology. So it is going to enable organization to better serve their customers and compete more efficiently in the market. It is. That's what we have to talk about. The DevOps is all about. So it is going to increase the organization ability to deliver the applications and the services at higher velocity, evolving and improving the products at the faster pace. This is what exactly we have to understanding about the DevOps is all about. Now we just need to understanding about how we are trying to implement the DevOps. So I told you that I'll just take another 5 to 10 minutes. I'm just going to explain about the what are the different tools which we need to understanding about how we can able to perform the automation. Let's, for example, let me go with .io. Let me just draw the diagram. Let me just a minute. I'll just draw the diagram so that also I'm just going to explain about what are the tools which we're going to cover in this particular course curriculum. So Let me go to here, click on the create. Yeah. So now if you just go to here, the first, I'll take about the, see, our job is going to start from the software development. So we have the software development team here, where when I say about the software, development team, so we have to understanding about how this software team it is going to work. That's what we have to understanding right now. When I say software development team, it is like a group of people that are trying to work on a particular task it is. So when the software development team is they're going to work here. So now we have the code, right? What are the code they are trying to implement here? We just need to understanding about how we need to implement the code. So let's say now we have to implement the code. Now we need to share the code with my client, or I want to share my code with my colleagues. How we can able to share the code? Let's, for example, as a DevOps engineer, we are going to work 3 members in a project. What are the Terraform scripts which I have written? My other team member want to look at it. They wanted to modify some scripts. So how we can able to do all these things? So for that, we need to share the code. So whenever you want to show the code, we need something, it is called code repositories. We have the GitHub, we have the Bitbucket, we have the GitLab. So there are different kind of code repositories are there. So we have to understanding about what is exactly the code repositories. The code repository is basically where we can able to store the code and how the code it is going to be shared with the team members. So we have the code repository called as a GitHub. It is what we can call a source code management tool. So whenever you want to track the changes, when someone is make the changes in the code, we need something, it is called Git. It is what we can call it as a version control system it is. So whenever you want to make some changes in the code, we just need to understanding about how we can track the changes. For that, we need something, it is called a version control system. See, once we have the GitHub repository, then what is the next step it is? Now we want to check the code quality, because to provide the high quality, it is very important. So let's say you want to check the code quality, we need something, it is called tool called SonarQube server, right? SonarQube, it is basically will take the set of rules, which is already inbuilt by inside SonarQube server, as provided the Sonar. I mean, Sonar is nothing but it's a like nothing but take a company name. They have implemented this SonarQube server. Now here, when you just go with the SonarQube server, it is basically going to check about the code quality. You just write a code in any programming languages. It may be Java, it may be C#, it may be any kind of programming languages. We can see they have to understanding about how this particular application is going to be implemented. So whenever talk about the code quality, we have to identify that how many code errors we have, how many critical errors, how many vulnerabilities are there. This is very, very important that we have to check about it. So whenever you check about the code quality, we have to understanding about how we can able to perform all these things. Now, once you check the code quality, then we have to build the application. So building is very, very important. Without building, we can't able to deploy any kind of application in the servers. Now here, if for example, you are using something, it is called Java. We use something, it is called as a Maven. It's a tool for the build the Maven to build the Java application. You are using Node.js. We use NPM. You are using Python. We use PyPI. For example, you are using the for example, you're using .NET, we use MS Build. Every tool, like every programming languages, we use different tool. For example, if we just go to Maven, we can able to build the application with a Maven. If we go with this Node.js, we use something, it is called as NPM. When you just go something, it is called as a Python. We use something, it is called PyPI. Every tool has a different thing which we need to understand. Now here, whenever you just try to understanding about the build, is nothing but you're trying to build the artifact. Let's say, for example, when I just go with the Maven, I can able to build the jar files. So every version has specific feature. I can able to build the war files. I can able to build about the year files. Now, whenever you want to build a Docker images, we need something, it is called Docker. I'll talk about here. Now, once we build this particular application, now we have to understanding about where we can able to store all the artifacts. So now we are trying to store all the artifacts inside my Nexus repository. Nexus is nothing but it is an artifact repository, which is basically going to store all the artifacts. It may be WAR files, it may be Docker images, it may be ER files. Irrespective of what kind of package it is, all the packages we can able to store in a centralized repository that is called as a Nexus repository. So now whenever the client required any kind of version of the artifact, they can able to take it from this particular artifact repository. Now here we can see that there is a artifact repository where we can able to store all the artifacts. Now we can see that there is something, it is called as a, let's say for example, now once you have the artifact, then we have to convert into a Docker image. Now this Docker is basically, we're going to use something, it is called deployment phase. Now here a Docker is basically to deploy the application inside the containers. The first one, we have to Dockerize application, nothing but we have to build a Docker image. This Docker image we can deploy inside the where containers, right? So right now, the whole world is behind about the Docker and Kubernetes. If you believe or not, without Docker, Kubernetes, CI/CD, Terraform, Ansible, we can't able to crack any of the interview. So we need much in-depth knowledge about Docker, Kubernetes. So here, I'm just going to take you about the 20 to 25 classes where I'm just going to teach you guys only about Docker and Kubernetes. Let's try to understanding about what is exactly Docker, what is exactly the Kubernetes, how we are trying to implement that everything we're discussing about when I just go with the Docker and Kubernetes. So here, Docker will not support some of the features. Let's, for example, the containers doesn't support the auto scaling. We'll talk about later in depth here. Try to understand now. It is not support based the load balancing. If any container got crashed, we can't able to access the application. Here, that is what we have to understanding about the self-healing it is. That's what we have to understanding. Auto scaling is not possible. Load balancing is not possible. Self-healing is not possible. These are the three features will not support by this particular Docker it is. Now we can see about the auto scaling, load balancing, and self-healing it is. Now here we can see there is something it is called as a we have the Kubernetes. Right now, all applications you take about the Hotstar, you take about Netflix, you take about the GeoCinemas, you take about any kind of streaming applications, we need something it is called auto scaling because we don't know about when the traffic it is going to be increased, when the traffic it is going to be decreased. So when the traffic it is going to increase, I need to increase the number of servers, which I need to perform the horizontal pod auto scaling. To perform all these things, so Kubernetes is going to promise us the zero downtime applications. Zero downtime application. Now here, this is what we have to understanding about what is Kubernetes. So Kubernetes basically going to provide the zero downtime applications. So we are trying to deploy the application, the clusters. So the Kubernetes is going to promise us the auto scaling. Okay. They're going to promise us the load balancing. They're going to promise us the self-healing it is. This is a different kind of features which is going to provide by the Kubernetes. Now, it is going to support the auto scaling. It is going to support the load balancing. It is going to support the self-healing it is. These are three features which is going to support by the Kubernetes. Now here, when I just talk about this particular Kubernetes, these are the three things which we need to understanding about auto scaling, load balancing, and self-healing it is. Now here, when I just talk about here, where exactly we can deploy the applications right now in the market. This is Docker is now we are using to Dockerize application because when you use Docker, it is the slogan is nothing but build once, run anywhere. That means once you build a Docker image, without worrying about infrastructure, without worrying about dependencies, we can able to run the application in any platform. It is a dev platform, test platform, a staging platform, or it may be in the production environment. So without worrying about your infrastructure dependencies, we can run the application wherever you want. That is the kind of the changes which brought by Docker. Now we can see there is something it is called Kubernetes. The Kubernetes all about we have to understanding about the how we can able to perform the auto scaling. See, we have it is going to provide the auto scaling, load balancing, and self-healing, right? So where it is going to manage your applications. So we don't get the application downtime when you something it is called as a Kubernetes. When pod goes down, when node goes down, that is going to taking care of the node auto scaling, pod auto scaling, that is the thing which is going to perform by the Kubernetes. Now here, once you deploy the application, the next step is all about the, we just need to understanding about how to monitor the application. So where we can able to monitor the application here, say whenever you want to monitor the application, which very important thing is nothing but how the application is going to be monitored. like where we can able to collect the number of modules, right? So whenever you wanted to understanding about the number of modules, we just need to understanding about how this application is going to be monitored. Like how much my application is running, how much my how is my node is running. Like, we have to collect the CPU metrics, memory metrics. We have to collect the network in, network out. We have to look at the like when it is going to perform the auto scaling. That everything we have to perform. That is what we have to call it as a monitoring. So let's try to understanding about what is meant by monitoring. So whenever you want to perform the monitoring, we're going to use something it is called as a Prometheus. We're going to use something it is called as a Prometheus, and we use something it is called as a Grafana, where we can able to perform the like where we can able to perform the monitoring of the application. This is where we have to concentrate on more about the monitoring. It is like we had to perform the Prometheus, we had to perform the monitoring, which is the basically we can able to perform the monitoring of the application. So right now in the market, we have like Prometheus, Grafana, Datadog, New Relic. There are different kind of monitoring tools out there, but Prometheus, Grafana is the one of the major tools where exactly the many organizations are using this particular monitoring tools. Now, whatever I discussed about is nothing but manual process, right? So whenever you want to automate, we need something it is called as an automation server. So how we are trying to automate the complete things. So whenever you want to perform the automation, we just need to understanding about there is something it is called as a automation server. See, we have something it is called as a Jenkins here. Jenkins is nothing but my automation server. So where we can able to perform the automation. Like, when I just talk about the Jenkins, let's try to understanding about how it is going to work. See, first one, we have to integrate all the tools with the Jenkins. Not only Jenkins, like we have the GitHub Actions, we have the Team City, we have Circle CI, we have Bamboo. But Jenkins is a one of the open source. When I take about Circle CI, it is not open source. When I take about the Team City, it is not an open source. The first we have to understanding about how we can able to integrate all the tools with the Jenkins. I have to integrate the GitHub. I have to integrate the, let's say I have to integrate the SonarQube. I have to integrate the Maven. So all the tools I have to integrate with the Jenkins. We just need to understanding about the how we can able to build all these particular applications. That's how we can able to understanding about all these things. Let's, for example, this is the build tool, and we just need to understanding about how we can able to push the artifact, how we are trying to build the artifact, that everything will understanding right now. This is what exactly we have to understanding about like integrations. So integrations are major part here. Once you integrated these tools, then we can easily create the automate the pipelines. So this is the kind of pipelines we have to create when you go for any organization. Your job is going to start with the creating CI/CD pipelines. Now here we have to integrate all the tools with this particular Jenkins, so that the moment when the software development team has pushed the code, it will check automatically code quality. It will build the application. It push the artifact. It will try to build the Docker image. We can deploy in the Kubernetes cluster. We can able to monitor the application. This is a kind of setup which we have to do that. Now, so apart from these tools, whatever we discussed about, we have to understanding about the very important tools is nothing but Ansible, and very important tools is nothing but Terraform it is. So Terraform, Ansible is both. See, Ansible is nothing but it is a nothing but IAC tool, infrastructure code. Ansible is nothing but it is nothing but IAC infrastructure code. Sorry, it is configuration management tool Ansible. Terraform is nothing but IAC tool. So whenever you want to set the infrastructure on any cloud, it may be AWS, it may be like GCP, it may be Azure. Wherever you want to set the infrastructure, we have to understanding about how Terraform will works. That's what we have to understanding about what is meant by Terraform. So whenever you talk about the Ansible here, the basically we have to understanding about what is meant by the configuration management. Like where we can able to automate the complete things it is. That's what we have to understanding about what is meant by configuration management. It is a tool which we can able to perform it right now. This is what exactly we have to understanding about how we can able to perform this complete infrastructure. Now, apart from these tools in the market, what are the different demanded tools right now in the market? Let's say, for example, I'll show you that here. If I just go to the LinkedIn profile, so from Also, I'll tell you from where we're gonna start, where we have to concentrate more our time it is. Let's, for example, if we'll just go to jobs now, I just show you that, like, yeah. See, for example, if you just open any of this particular, if you just go to here, IBM, I'll see they're looking for the AWS DevOps engineer, right? See where exactly we had to focus more if you would like to crack the interview, what exactly they're looking for from the candidates. So if you just look at here, the first, they have to understanding about any of the cloud platform. Okay. And if I look at my screen, they are looking for the Ansible, Artifactory, Docker, GitHub, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Maven, Sonaki. See, whatever the tools which we have discussed so far, the same tools they are trying to asking over here. So, and also they're looking for the Tomcat or WebLogic and the monitoring tools like a Prometheus, LK Slack or CloudWatch. So you take any kind of job description on any of this particular, like LinkedIn or wherever it is, but definitely every tool, it is gonna help you to understanding about what they're looking for. See, cloud knowledge is must and required. And if you look at the requirements here, we can see Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, Helm, right? Include this, like one of the scripting is required this in this particular job description. And we can see how to set up the EKS clusters, how we can deploy this application in the Kubernetes clusters. See, that is the reason what my thought for this batch is nothing but I want to completely change the entire methodology. So apart from this tools, whatever we discussed, we also discussed about the cloud as well. So here, I'm just going to tell you that what exactly we're going to cover in this particular course. Apart from these tools, we'll talk about the AWS cloud because when you want to become a DevOps engineer, definitely one cloud knowledge is very much required. We required something it is called as a VPCs we have to understand, subnets we have to understand, we have to understanding about internet gateways, we have to understanding about NAT gateways, routing tables, elastic IP addresses, okay, yeah, elastic IP addresses, and we have to understanding about, yeah, we have to understanding about EC2 instances, we have to understanding about the CloudWatch, we have to understanding about load balances, there are different services which basically we have to looking for. We just need to understanding about how we can do all these things. Here, I'll just make a note here. Let's say apart from that, we are trying to focusing about the set of tools. We have to understanding about EC2 instances. We have to understanding about IAM. We have to understanding about SNS. We have to understanding about CloudWatch. We have to understanding about how to create DynamoDB. We have to understanding about how to create the so DynamoDB is basically nothing but NoSQL database. And we have to understanding about how to create RDS database. So like that, these are the services which we're going to cover in this particular course curriculum. So whenever I done with this AWS, after that, I'll teach you about Terraform because the relation between the Terraform and infrastructure. So what is exactly we're going to learn from where we're going to start? Because as of my knowledge, there is a Docker and Kubernetes going to taking more part of my training. So I need more than 20 plus, 22 plus sessions required only for the Docker and Kubernetes. So I don't want to rush on this particular topic. So I decided to teach from the Docker. Let's next go with the Kubernetes. Okay. Next, we have to go with the Jenkins. Let's see how we can able to integrate these tools and how we can able to automate. Then we have to go with this option name. It is called as Ansible. And sorry. So here I'll just go with the Prometheus. Prometheus and Grafana. Let's say about the Grafana. And the fifth one, which we had to talk about, let's for example, Ansible. These tools are very, very important. See, Sonarchy will not take much time. So here we'll talk about the after that. Let's say I'll talk about the GitHub repository. I'll talk about the Sonarchy. I'll talk about the Maven. Sorry. Yeah. So I'll talk about the Maven. I'll talk about something it is called as a Nexus, right? So here, these are the tools we're discussing about the in a order. So these tools doesn't take much time for me to explain. It is almost, if I require 10 sessions, I can able to complete it. But these tools might take most of my time, so that we'll spend a good time on this particular tools. We'll try to understand. See, when I go to discussing about Docker Kubernetes, we'll take some real-time projects. So like, we'll take some 7 to 8 projects. Like, let's, for example, we'll take about the 7 to 8 projects. For example, we'll take about 7 microservices. Let's say 7 microservices will take about 11 microservices. So I'll basically want to implement the kind of team implementations. Like I'll divide the whole participants in 2 teams. I'll give some Docker images for the microservices. I'll ask you guys to write Kubernetes manifest files and deploy. And I want to ask you guys to write manifest files, Helm charts. That is a kind of methodology which I usually implement. The same thing I'm just going to implement for this batch as well. So once you're discussing about all the tools, then we're discussing about the AWS services, nothing but the cloud. Now here, I told you already, we're discussing about the VPCs. We're discussing about EC2 instances. We're discussing about the elastic load balances. We're discussing about auto scaling here, uh, elastic auto scaling, and also we're discussing about the IAM. We're discussing about the, let's say, we have the IAM, right? We're discussing about SNS. We're discussing about the CloudWatch. When it comes to the database, we're discussing about the ODS. We're discussing about the DynamoDB. This is all the services what we have to do that. See VPC, EC2, Elastic. Like this is the services which we are trying to understanding about the just going for classes. Now, once we're discussing about these tools, then we're discussing about Terraform. So because there is a relation between the infrastructure and Terraform it is. So it is easy for you guys to understanding. So this is what my plan is. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask. I can able to help you. After this, I'll tell you about how to build your resumes. See, when I build my LinkedIn profile, most of my clients I'm getting irrespective of business or job opportunities. So I'm just getting more opportunities for my LinkedIn profile as well. See where is messages. Let's go with the messages now. Yeah, we can see that recently I can say, yeah, this is like a Saturday, right? I got a message from the recruiter. They're looking for the SRE GCP engineer for 6 to 5 years. So like, if you just look at my messages, most of my clients, the requirements is basically coming from this particular LinkedIn only, I can say honestly. So that's what I'm telling about. So we have the requirements. We have a very good demand in the market for the DevOps. All these are requirements. So let's say come to here. This is also, she is also HR, and she is also this is like HR here. And also if you just come down, she is also HR, and he is also HR. And see, look at my screen. So I'm talking about recent opportunities which I got through my LinkedIn profile. So we have to build a solid profile in LinkedIn so that you guys will get the more opportunities better than the any portal where you upload these particular profiles. So here we'll be conduct the mock interviews, we'll conduct the resume preparation classes, how we can able to build your resumes. So everything it is like a full package, I can say. But only thing is I'll take much time. That is my problem. It is like, it will be taking at least more than 2 months to complete this particular course. So I'm requesting you guys to be attend all the classes. See, I what is I noticed nothing but US and UK guys, they won't attend all the classes. I can say not all the everyone. So some people is very much interested, but I'll drag your attention so you'll understanding about how my teaching is all about. So this is what the complete course, guys. So now if you have any questions, you can ask so that I can able to answer your questions. Yeah, any questions from anyone?
Hey, can we get the recorded sessions as well,
Yes,
if in case?
yes, yes. You'll get the recording
Uh,
sessions every day whenever the
Okay,
classes got happened, along with the materials as well.
thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from anyone? Vaishnavi, do you have any questions here?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Whatever you explain, I'm happy. Thank you.
Devansh,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Sridhar, Mehrab.
Just one
No,
thing I
I'm
just
good.
wanted to ask you.
Yeah, there's a question. Yes, go ahead.
Is it really okay with like directly going to Docker and those tools, or is there any basics that we should learn before starting learning all the tools?
See, if we have idea about the what is software development team, software testing team, and if we have idea about the Linux commands, that is more than enough to start with the Docker and Kubernetes. Nothing more than that.
Thank you.
So my intention is to start with the Docker and Kubernetes. As I already told you guys, there are much more demand in the market. So we don't want to be rush in the end of this particular. So if you guys know a little bit Linux, if you guys know about the what is SDLC, what is software development team, and where we can able to store the code in the GitHub repository, that is more than enough to understanding about the Docker and Kubernetes. This phase is completely different up to here. This phase is completely different up to here. Okay. Okay. So our classes will start from tomorrow with the same time. There are other folks also they're gonna join. See, there are I have my previous batch students. They're already running some interviews. Uh, we are going. They will also join. So we're gonna start from tomorrow, from the 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. IST. Every day, it will be like 1 hour 15 minutes. Like it will go be based on topic. So our classes will start from tomorrow. You guys can join tomorrow, and you guys can we'll start from Docker and Kubernetes. Okay. Yeah. Basic Linux commands is nothing but you just share your Gmail ID. I can able to share you the Linux basic. Like you have to understanding about how to install packages. Okay, don't worry. While I'm just teaching Docker, definitely I'm just going to tell you about the Linux commands as well, how to install packages, how to deal with the servers. Okay, deal with the servers and how to create files, folders. Okay, and file permissions. Okay, this is everything is required. Okay, uh, a searching mechanism. It's just matter of 1 hour. I'll send you the command list. You guys can practice searching mechanisms, sorting mechanisms. Okay, this is more than enough to cope up, or we can say nothing but more than enough to learn about it. We don't require to learn in admin level Linux because we are not going to work as a Linux admins. We are going to work as a DevOps engineer. So we have to, because all the DevOps tools are work on the command line platform. So that is the reason we just need to learn about these commands. That's it. Yeah. Okay. I'll take your email address from the consultants. Nothing to worry about it. Yeah. Okay. So all the best. If I'll see you in tomorrow sessions. I'll share the link, a different link with your like a consultants. You guys can join from that link. If you still have any questions, you can ask. I'll be here another 1 to 2 minutes. See, to be frank, DevOps has a lot of scope in the market. The yesterday night only we got so this list. I'm just want to show you see something like in yesterday only we got one client again. See that we have delivered one project. They have loved our work. They're trying to pick it up. They're trying to provide the more DevOps projects to us. So that's what like great news which I got received from yesterday night from my client. Uh, so I know about what's going on in industry because when I started my startup, I don't have no idea about where to start. But eventually, when we explore in the market, we are getting good projects because based on hard work and dedication, how quality project you're going to provide to the client, it is all about decide whether they want to come back to you or not. We have delivered the very good project to them. with a short span of time. So they have load our work and they're coming back and they're going to retain us to provide the more DevOps projects to us. That's what I'm telling. So it has a lot of scope in the market. You just be focused. I told you, right? It is more about how you have to handle it is. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.